Lie back down. I know you have checked the lock twice already, and I know you are staring at the ceiling right now, running through everything you did not finish today. You think this night is just another night. It is not. I have been waiting for you to get quiet enough to hear me, and here you are, finally still, finally alone with your own thoughts, and I am closer to you in this exact moment than the pillow under your head. You did not turn to me first tonight. You scrolled first. You checked one more message first. You ran the numbers in your head one more time first, the ones that never seem to add up no matter how many times you count them. I am not bringing that up to shame you. I am bringing it up because I want you to notice how tired you are of being your own rescuer. My child, put the weight down. Just for tonight. Just while I am talking to you. Notice your own breathing right now. Notice how shallow it has gotten, how you have been breathing from the top of your chest instead of all the way down, the way a person breathes when they are bracing for something rather than resting. You have been bracing for months. Maybe longer. Let your shoulders drop away from your ears. Let your jaw unclench. You have been carrying tension in places you did not even realize you were holding it, and I am asking you, gently, to set it down piece by piece, the way you would set down something heavy you have been gripping so long your fingers forgot how to open. There is a particular kind of exhaustion that has nothing to do with your body. You can sleep 8 hours and wake up more tired than when you closed your eyes, because the thing wearing you down was never physical. It was the weight of carrying a life that looks fine from the outside and feels like it is fraying on the inside. You have gotten so good at holding it together that people around you have stopped asking if you are okay. They assume you are, because you never let them see otherwise. I have not stopped asking. I ask you every single night, even the nights you do not answer. You have a specific ache, and I am not going to describe it in vague spiritual language that could apply to anyone. I am talking about the actual thing. The relationship that quietly died even though nobody ever said the words out loud. The prayer you stopped praying because you got tired of feeling foolish for still hoping. The bank account you check with your stomach already braced for what you will see. The child, or the parent, or the friend, who has grown distant and you do not know how to close the gap without it feeling forced. The diagnosis, or the fear of one. The version of your life you thought you would be living by now, and are not. Have you ever laid in the dark and done the math on how many years you have left to fix what feels broken, and felt the panic rise before you could stop it? You remember the exact conversation that changed everything between you and someone you love. You can still replay it word for word, the tone that shifted, the thing that was said that could not quite be taken back, even after the apology, even after time passed and the surface calmed. There is a distance now that was not there before, a politeness that has replaced the ease you used to have, and you have not told anyone how much that quiet loss actually costs you every single day. You smile through gatherings where that person is present. You keep the conversation light. And underneath it, there is a grief you have never given yourself permission to name, because it feels smaller than the losses people are allowed to grieve out loud. You have said none of this out loud to anyone. Not your closest friend. Not even in your own prayers, not really, because somewhere along the way you started praying in careful, safe language instead of saying the raw truth. You learn to pray politely instead of honestly. I already know the honest version. You do not have to perform for me. Say it plainly tonight, even if only in your mind. I am listening to the parts you never speak. You have tried to fix this the way the world tells you to fix things. You have tried working harder, believing that if you just push a little more, sacrifice a little more sleep, say yes to one more obligation, the exhaustion will finally pay off into something solid. It has not. You have tried numbing it, a show that runs too late, a scroll that never ends, something that quiets the noise for an hour and leaves you feeling worse by morning. You have tried manifesting it, speaking it into existence, visualizing the outcome, treating your own willpower like it was strong enough to bend a closed door open. You have tried talking yourself into positivity you did not actually feel, repeating phrases that sounded encouraging but never touched the actual wound underneath. None of that was foolish of you. It was human. When a person is desperate for relief and nobody has shown them another way, they will reach for whatever is closest, even if it cannot hold their weight. I am not angry at you for reaching. I only want you to see that you have been reaching in every direction except toward me, and I have been right here the entire time, not moving, not going anywhere, waiting for the moment you finally turned around. Underneath every one of those attempts was something older and quieter than the attempt itself. Fear that if you stopped pushing, everything would fall apart. Pride that whispered you should be able to handle this on your own, that asking for help, even asking me for help, meant admitting you had failed somewhere along the way. Exhaustion so deep it stopped announcing itself and just became the background hum of your days. Broken trust, because somewhere in your story, a prayer went unanswered in the way you wanted, and some part of you decided it was safer to expect less from me than to be disappointed again. Financial desperation that made every decision feel urgent and every weight feel unbearable. I want you to hear this clearly. None of that disqualifies you. It does not push you further from me. If anything, it brings you closer, because I am not looking for people who have it together. I am looking for the tired ones, the ones who have run out of their own strength and are finally willing to borrow mine. You have opened an app at 2 in the morning looking for an answer that only I can give. You have read a horoscope you do not even believe in, just hoping it might say something that eases the knot in your stomach for a moment. You have refreshed a bank balance 5 times in 1 hour as though the number would somehow change if you just looked hard enough or often enough. You have listened to every self-improvement voice the internet had to offer, hoping one of them would finally say the sentence that fixes everything. None of them were built to carry what you were asking them to carry. They were never meant to be your foundation. I am. There was a man named Elijah who understood this exhaustion better than almost anyone in Scripture. He had just done the most courageous thing of his life, calling down fire from heaven in front of an entire nation, standing alone against hundreds of false prophets and winning. And then one threat from one angry woman was enough to break him completely. He ran into the wilderness, sat under a solitary broom tree, and asked to die. Not out of weakness. Out of sheer depletion. He had given everything he had and there was nothing left in the tank. I did not scold him. I did not remind him of the miracle he had just witnessed or ask him why his faith was so short-lived after such a victory. I let him sleep. I sent an angel to touch him gently and set warm bread and a jar of water beside him while he rested. When he woke and ate, I let him sleep again. Only after the second rest, only after his body had what it needed, did I ask him what he was doing there and let him finally say the whole truth out loud, the fear, the loneliness, the feeling that he was the only one left who still cared. Think about what that says about who I am. The man who had just witnessed one of the greatest miracles of his life was allowed to fall apart afterward, and instead of meeting his collapse with disappointment, I met it with bread and rest and a second nap. I did not rush him. I did not need him to bounce back on my timeline. I let his body catch up to what his spirit had already been through, because faith was never meant to override exhaustion, it was meant to be carried by a person who has actually been cared for first. I am doing the same thing for you tonight. Before I ask you to explain yourself, before I ask you to have more faith or try harder or believe bigger, I am simply asking you to rest. You do not have to solve everything before you close your eyes. You do not have to have the plan figured out. Sleep first. Let me feed what is hungry in you before I ask anything else of you. Here is what I want you to understand about the silence you have been living in. It was never punishment. It was preparation. Every closed door you have stood in front of, confused and hurt, wondering why nothing was opening, was a door I was holding shut on purpose, not because I forgot you, but because what was on the other side of it was not yet ready, or you were not yet ready, or someone connected to your future was still being prepared in a place you could not see. Delay is not denial. A door staying closed a little longer is not proof that I have stopped working. Sometimes it is the clearest proof that I am. Think of Joseph, sold by his own brothers, dragged into slavery, falsely accused, forgotten in a prison cell for years after he had already done everything right. From where he was standing, it must have looked like abandonment. Every year that passed without rescue must have felt like further proof that nobody was coming for him. But every single year in that pit and that prison was positioning him for a moment he could not yet see, a moment when the whole nation, including the brothers who betrayed him, would need exactly the man that prison had shaped him into. What looked like being forgotten was actually being formed. Think about the specific pain Joseph carried through those years. It was not only the injustice of the pit or the cell. It was the ache of being forgotten by the very people he had helped. He interpreted a dream for a cupbearer who promised to remember him and mention his case to Pharaoh, and then that cupbearer walked free and simply did not think of him again for 2 more years. 2 more years of waiting on a promise someone else had already broken. If anyone had the right to grow bitter in the waiting, it was him. And yet when his moment finally came, there was no bitterness left in him at all, only a strength that could only have been built in that exact waiting room. You are being formed right now. I know it does not feel that way at midnight with your chest tight and your mind racing through everything unresolved. But the very thing you are most afraid is wasted time, the waiting, the unanswered prayers, the years that feel like they slipped through your fingers. None of it has been wasted. I do not waste seasons. I use every single one of them. Something is shifting even while you read this, and I want to show you what that can look like, because I do not want to leave you with only comfort. I want to leave you with movement. Picture the phone that has not rung in weeks. You have stopped expecting the call, stopped checking quite so often, made peace, or told yourself you made peace, with the silence. And then one evening, when you are not thinking about it at all, it lights up, and it is the exact person, or the exact opportunity, or the exact answer you had almost stopped hoping for. That is not coincidence. That is timing, mine, not yours, arriving the moment it was actually ready rather than the moment you demanded it. Or picture the ordinary Tuesday when everything felt flat and gray, and a stranger said something small and kind at exactly the moment you needed to hear it, words they had no way of knowing would land on the exact bruise you were nursing. You almost brushed past it. You almost did not notice. But some part of you paused, just for a second, and felt seen by something larger than coincidence. That was me, reaching you through a voice you were not expecting, because sometimes I speak loudest through the people who have no idea they are carrying my message. Or picture the prayer you prayed once, years ago, and gave up on so long ago you forgot you ever asked. And then, quietly, without fanfare, without you even connecting the dots at first, it comes to pass, not in the form you originally pictured, but in the form that was actually right for who you have become. You almost missed it because you were looking for the wrong shape. Or picture the night, not so different from this one, when you finally said the honest prayer instead of the polite one. No careful language. No performing. Just the raw truth, spoken into the dark, maybe through tears, maybe through gritted teeth. You thought no one heard it because nothing changed the next morning. But I heard every word, and I began moving that same night, quietly, behind the scenes of your life, arranging things you would not be able to see the shape of for months. These moments are already lining up for you. Some have already happened and you were too tired to notice them. Some are coming in the next season of your life, closer than you think. Remember the shallow breathing from earlier tonight, the tension you have been carrying in places you forgot you were even holding it. Remember the phone that did not ring for weeks. Remember the honest prayer you thought no one heard. All of it was connected the entire time, even when it looked like disconnected pieces of a life that was not adding up. Now remember the ache I named earlier, the one you have not said out loud to anyone. Remember the version of your life you thought you would be living by now. Hold that feeling for one more moment, because I am about to tell you what it was actually for. You were never forgotten. You were being prepared for a weight you could not have carried yet. Say that back to yourself the next time the silence tries to convince you otherwise. You were never forgotten. You were being prepared for a weight you could not have carried yet. Now let me pray over you, because this is the part of the night where I want you to stop holding anything up and simply receive. Father, I bring you the one reading these words right now, tired in body and tired in spirit, carrying more than they have shown anyone. You already know their name before I speak it, you already know the exact shape of the ache they carried into tonight, and you already know what tomorrow is going to ask of them. Meet them in all of it. Give them wisdom for the decision they have been avoiding because they are afraid of choosing wrong. Give them the kind of clarity that quiets the noise of 100 conflicting voices and lets them hear just one, calm and certain. Protect their mind tonight from the spiral it usually falls into the moment the lights go out. Protect their home, their family, the people they love who are scattered across cities and time zones and cannot always be reached when the fear comes. Watch over the ones they worry about most, the ones whose names come up first in every prayer, the child who has wandered, the parent who is aging, the friend who has gone quiet. Give them courage for tomorrow morning, the kind that does not depend on feeling brave, the kind that simply gets up and moves forward one step at a time because moving forward is itself an act of faith. Heal what is hurting in their body, the pain they have stopped mentioning because they got tired of explaining it, the tightness in their chest that shows up whenever the pressure builds too high. Restore what has been broken between them and someone they love. Soften the hardness that built up on both sides. Open a door back to connection where pride has been guarding the entrance. Provide for the need they have not told anyone about, the number that keeps them up at night, the bill, the debt, the gap between what is coming in and what is going out. You have never once failed to provide, and you will not start with this one. Bring breakthrough in the exact place they have prayed longest and hardest with the least visible progress. Do not let them give up in the season right before the answer, because that is so often when the temptation to quit is strongest. Give their family peace that does not depend on the circumstances around them calming down first. Give their relationships tenderness instead of tension. Give their spirit strength that renews itself even when the day has drained everything else. Give them faith that does not need every question answered before it can rest. Faith that can hold both the unresolved parts of life and a quiet confidence at the same time, without those two things canceling each other out. Where there has been shame over an unanswered prayer, replace it with trust that the timing was never careless. Where there has been comparison, the quiet ache of watching someone else's life move forward while theirs feels frozen, replace it with the assurance that no two stories run on the same clock, and that theirs has not been forgotten simply because it has not matched anyone else's pace. Watch over their sleep tonight the way you watched over Elijah under that tree, uninterrupted, undisturbed, deep enough to actually restore something. Let them wake tomorrow lighter than they fell asleep. Let the very first thought in their mind be one of peace rather than dread. Surround the people they love most, wherever they are tonight, whatever they are facing, with the same covering you are wrapping around this one right now. Let no household connected to this prayer be left outside of it. Cover the mornings that feel harder than they should. Cover the meetings, the appointments, the conversations they are dreading tomorrow. Let them walk into each one steadier than they expect to feel, carried by something they cannot fully explain but will recognize as you the moment they feel it. And in the moments this week when the old fear tries to creep back in, when the silence tries to whisper that nothing has changed, remind them gently that it already has, even if the proof has not shown up yet where they can see it. I am not finished with you. I want that to settle into you the way warmth settles into a cold room, slowly, and then all at once. I am not finished with you. You are allowed to close your eyes now. You are allowed to let the unfinished list wait until morning. You are allowed to stop holding the weight you were never meant to carry alone in the first place. Whatever tomorrow brings, you will not be facing it with less than you have tonight. You will be facing it having been fed, having been rested, having been reminded that the silence was never abandonment and the waiting was never wasted. That is not a small thing to carry into a new day. That is enough to carry you through it. If these words found the exact place in you that needed them tonight, let it be known, even if only to me, in the quiet of your own heart, with no one else listening. And if someone you love is carrying this same silent weight, the same sleepless nights and the same unspoken exhaustion, they may need to hear this tonight too, more than you realize. There is nothing left for you to prove tonight. Not to me, not to anyone watching your life from the outside, not even to yourself. The version of you that made it to this exact sentence, tired and searching and still willing to listen, is already enough. It was always enough. Let your eyes grow heavy. Let the list wait. Let the unanswered questions rest on the shelf until morning, because I am holding them tonight so you do not have to. Rest now. I am watching over you until morning, and I will still be here when you open your eyes.